Hello beautiful, welcome back to Nat's Beautiful Life. Today I'm going to be doing a video I've really been looking forward to filming for you guys. I wanted to do a list of the 10 books you must read. But then as I was writing them down, I noticed that I had enough there because I was like doing like a long list that I could just kind of narrow down. I saw that I had fiction, nonfiction, and other different genres, and I was like, you know what, I can split this up into a series, which is awesome. But this one I'm really excited to share with you. It is the 10 fiction books that you must read. I do have a lot of these. If I don't have them, I'll have a picture up there. They are in no particular order, but these are books that really have stood out to me in recent years or in the past, and I am excited to share them with you. So without any further ado, let's get going. And I keep hitting something over here. I keep hitting my tea. Sorry. The very first one is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. This book, when I first started reading it, I was like, I don't know if I can handle this. But once I got into it a little bit more, you find yourself just rooting for Eleanor and just all the things that she encounters in the people, and you just fall in love with her, and just the simplicity of just how she sees the world. And she's on the spectrum, and she's also had some trauma to her life, so all of that kind of adds to it. But it's actually a very cute, funny book, as well as having these hard-hitting topics and things. And it was just a book that really stuck out to me when I read it, and I really enjoyed it, and I could not recommend it enough to anyone. So definitely a book that had to go on this list. The second one I've got here is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn, Hugo, and that is by Jenkins Reid. I know everybody has been talking about this, but here's why. It is an amazing work of literature. It is, when I first got it, I thought, well, this will be about this lady and how she learned the things from her 7 different husbands. It is so much more than that. It is just this woman who's been living in poverty, and actually she's not even a woman, she's a child, living in poverty and in abuse, and how she gets out of it, the things she has to do, and you can see the things vividly. And there's also like little news clippings in here from when she becomes like her Marilyn Monroe of her day. And then as she goes on in the 70s, and she's really just telling her story to this one journalist who is actually connected to her in a way as well. And it is something that will shock you in your system as to how like good this is. And you'll be like, this is nothing like I expected, because when you go in even expecting anything, it is nothing like you expect. And I'm proud that everybody's been keeping like some of the spoilers at bay, but it is really, really good. Very good work of just literature and fiction, and it's really, really good, and there's a reason why everybody is talking about it. The next one I actually have with me is Uprooted by Naomi Novick. I love this book, and this is the American cover. The UK cover is so beautiful, and I've got to get a hold of it. This is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, and I didn't realize that until somebody told me, and I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. But it is like a fairy tale, but creepy, but I don't know. This is, it's like fantasy, fairy tale, magic, relationships, just intrigue, war, all kinds of things, and it is just so good. I don't want to tell you too much, but every, I think, 10 years, this man they call the dragon, and a lot of people go with that, but the thing is, it's all the, what do they call him in here? Wizards or whatever they are. They all are named after some sort of animal or something. So there's like the falcon and like this, and he's the dragon. And so every 10 years, they give one of their daughters this town to the dragon to, I don't know, they think they're kind of sacrificing her because, but the thing is they know that after 10 years she'll come out, but a lot of times they leave. But the thing is they don't know what goes on, and so she's kind of afraid and they're afraid for her, but actually it's not what they think at all. And so it's just a really, really good book. Like, I just love it. And it's, I just love it. This is my favorite kind of love story as well. And that is a little bit of a spoiler, but I just love this book. So yeah, go get it. Check it out. You'll enjoy it. The next one is A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. Now, this book is just so heart-wrenching in so many ways. For one, the actual creator of the book, I will put her name on the screen. I think I know how to pronounce it, but I'm not sure and I don't want to butcher it. She herself was dying when she came up with this, and she knew she would not be able to finish the book. So she had Patrick Ness come in. She told him what she had in mind, and she asked him to write it, to finish it. And he said that he knew he could never write like her, but what he wanted to do was take the story and write a story that he knew she would like. And he wrote this book. I read it in one sitting. When I say I don't cry at anything, I mean I don't cry at like books and movies and things like that. I mean I cry. I'm emotional, but stuff like that I don't cry at. I bawled my eyes out at this book, and the movie was actually, the screenplay was written by Patrick Ness as well, was like spot on. There was like one difference way at the end. And I took my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law to go see it, and they didn't know what to expect, and they were bawling, and I was laughing at them bawling because I knew what was going to happen. But anyway, it's this little boy, and his mother is dying of cancer, and because he's in pain and all this stuff is happening, he doesn't know he's doing this. He calls a monster, and this monster is there to kind of help him through this, to be able to stand on his own and deal with his mother's death. And it's phenomenal. I mean, phenomenal. The movie, everything. So if you don't read books, watch the movie. If you don't read books, I don't know why you're watching this video. But anyway, if you know somebody who doesn't read books, make them watch the movie, because I feel like I have hair. It is phenomenal. I can't even recommend it enough. It's amazing. It made me cry. So there we go. The next one is Where'd You Go, Bernadette by Maria Semple. I have fallen in love with Maria Semple books because they're just zany. And Where'd You Go, Bernadette is about this. It's about so much more. But she was a well-known, like really awesome architect at one time. And then some things happened that kind of hurt her confidence. And it's kind of like that. Plus she has this really awesome child that goes to this really cool like private school. And there's like issues with mothers there. And then it's just... This book has so much in it, and the thing is with Bernadette, she does something that kind of could get the family in trouble, but it didn't. It was like where she was a victim of something, and she disappears because she just can't take like the failure she feels. And then it's just, I don't want to spoil anything for you, but this book is so good, and you will love the family dynamic. The husband's like a Bill Gates type guy. It's so, so good. So I highly recommend checking that out. It's just amazing. And the thing is, she has a way of putting like some serious topics in with everyday life, and then you will find yourself actually laughing out loud while you're reading these books. They're really great. So any Maria Semple book you can get a hold of, just read it. The next book is The Female of the Species by Mindy McGuinnis. This book is dark, and I already tried to film 3 times to tell you how this book goes out, but it's just something. We already know when the book starts that our main character has killed someone, and that is because her sister was brutally murdered, and the guy got off, and so our main character went and avenged her sister. And then she kind of has this in her that anytime a man hurts a child or another woman or something like that, she kind of has it in her to kill them. But she's like afraid that she's going to kill people, and so she kind of stays to herself. But then she starts making some friends and getting out of her shell a little bit, but she still has that darkness in her. And this book just, I don't even know what I'm trying to say about this book. That's how like intriguing it is, and just how angry she is. And then it's just like some stuff going on with her dad, like her dad who left her mother, and like he knew he had darkness in him, and he left because her mother was really difficult and he didn't want to hurt her, so he left. There's just a lot in this book, and I know I am butchering it, but there is like friendship and coming of age and coming into your own and things like that as well. There's, you know, things with her friends that she meets, and there's just a lot to it. So just check it out. It's dark, but it's also like you start rooting for her, and then you get to the end, and then you're just like, just read it. Okay, just read it. The next book is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. I could talk about this forever, but the one reason why, well, it's not one reason, but one of the reasons why I love this book so much is because it tells the story from all sides. It deals with not only, you know, racism, but if you're not in the U.S., you might not understand this as well. I don't know, you probably do, because these hatreds are the world over. It's not just about black and white. We have a real problem with rich and poor in our country. When you're rich, you can get away with a lot of things. When you're poor, you get punished for things that a rich person wouldn't even be looked out for. And also the fear that poor, you know, people are afraid of poor people. People are afraid of different people and things like that. And it's not just about neighborhoods. It's just so good. And what I love is like our main character star, like her mother and her father have great jobs. Her father owns a grocery store. Her mother's a nurse. They could move out of their poor, predominantly black neighborhood that has the bad reputation. But their father says, no, we're not doing that. We're going to be strong, and we're going to be changing our community from within. The mother's family, like her brother and stuff, they've moved over to a better neighborhood. And Star goes to a nice school that's got rich people in it. And she's dating a white dude who's got a lot of money. And so it's just like there's all these facets. There's no one like stereotypical like thing. It's just a family and just a city and just all these different things. And then what happens when there's fear involved, and you know, it shows gangs. It shows people who want to get out of gangs. It shows people who don't want to get into them and why they do. And all of these things. There's so much more to things than meets the eye. And I love that this shows every perspective. The rich, the poor, the white, the black, the Asian, the everything. And it's just a multifaceted book. And I think Angie Thomas just hit this one out of the park. She did an amazing job with this. And I think everybody needs to read this book. The next one is another Maria Semple book. It is Today Will Be Different. This book. So at the very beginning of the book, she starts out with this mantra, like, today I will do, you know, blah, 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 all these great things. Like, she is going to step out of her shell. She's going to not be so depressed and down and negative. She's going to do all these things. And then it's told throughout the day, every single thing that could derail every single thing she's said she was going to do happens. And it's cool because it takes place in the same area, same world that Where'd You Go, Bernadette took place in. So you do get to kind of deal with that school thing. And there's just there's funny things that happen. And it's just, once again, Maria Semple puts these really serious topics in these really zany people and these really zany families. And I love it. the family is happily dysfunctional. It's just so good. It's just so good. I love it so much, and I just cannot recommend her books enough. But if you want to see a book where, like, it's another one where she did a book, she wrote a book, it was really great. She's been living off that forever, and she basically hasn't written anything else, and she's tried, but she can't. And then she's got married, she has a child, and the child is amazing. And it's just a zany, once again, funny book that's got some serious things in it. And yeah, get it. It's good. I loved it a lot. The next book is Kindred by Octavia Butler. If you recently watched my October Part 1 wrap-up, you know about this book. This is by Octavia Butler, like I said, who was one of the very first female science fiction writers. She's also one of the first African-American science fiction writers. This book takes place in 1975. It was released in 1979. And so she is an African-American woman who is an author. She's married to a white man who is also an author. And then one day, she is drawn to the antebellum South, so the pre-Civil War South, by a little white boy who was drowning, and he kind of sees her in his head. And so she comes to him, and so she's traveling through time. And it turns out he's her, and I'm not giving this away. This is something you figure out fairly quickly. It's like her great grandfather, and yeah. This book is phenomenal. You will just, you will get angry. You will have the feels. You will do everything. I love this book. It's phenomenal. I give it 5 stars, and I think everybody should read it. It's really, really good. It's really good. All right. The next one is actually 2. The next one is This Present Darkness by Frank Peretti, and it's a duology, so the second book is Piercing the Darkness, also by Frank Peretti. Frank Peretti is one of the best visual writers, and when I say that, I mean he can make you see what he's describing. He writes supernatural fiction. This is a supernatural fiction book. And the creatures he's describing, the things that you're seeing, he's talking about angels and demons. You can see them. Like, you see it. And it is so phenomenally written. And you don't hear as much about him anymore because I think he's been writing more like for middle grade and YA, like he has like a long series. But before that he was really like adult writer, and some of his books are my favorites. They really just, they make you think. And it's an amazing book. I know I keep saying that, but that's why they're on this list. You must read them. They're just so good, and I don't want to tell you anything about them. I just want you to read them and just know that you will see everything that he writes. You will see it in your head, and he's just got a gift. Just a gift. All right, so that's 10 books. We have a bonus book, so number 11. Okay, so this book that I want to talk about is not literary fiction. It's not greatly written. It's very juvenile in some of the things that it's writing, like the conversations and stuff. But I have faith that this person can get better in their writing. But the subject matter and the things that happen in this book are so important, and I think this book is really great. It's Boxy by Jennifer Mathau, and the reason why I say this is because I think that young adults should read this, and it's even written, like I said, some of the stuff is a little juvenilely written, so it's okay for even preteen people to read it. So they can know that they're not alone, and also know that they have a voice. And then I think it's important for adults to read it so you can see what happens in schools and how boys can get away with a lot of things that girls can never get away with. And yeah, this book is just very eye-opening if you are living under a rock. Or if you think, that's not happening in my school, that's not happening in my girls. If that happened to my daughter, she'd tell me. No, she wouldn't. So I really, really love this book. And like I said, this is the subject matter. The writing itself, it's not bad, but like I said, it's not really great. It doesn't belong on the list of this, okay? But when it comes to why you must read it, subject matter, I think it's very important that people read it. Like I said, this really shows girls when you do come out and say enough is enough, and when you band together and then you get involved and then you get people who are able to do things about it involved and let them know this stuff is happening and it needs to stop. That's something that those girls need to know. And also I think, like I said, the adults need to know that this is happening in schools. So I loved it. And I was very, very happy, and Moxie Girls Fight Back. So, there we go. Hope this video is not 45 minutes long. And I hope that I explained some of them well. I just didn't want to spoil them for you. But I want you to read these books. They're so, so good. I have enjoyed them immensely. And like, as I look on the list, I can remember reading, like, what was happening while I was reading a lot of them, because they just stick out in my mind so much. So looking at my list again, if you want to laugh and also have the feels, go for Eleanor Oliphant. Go for Where'd You Go, Bernadette. Female, or no, not female species. Today Will Be Different. If you want to get mad, if you want to say, yes, let's get dark about some things, Moxie. The Hate You Give, Female of the Species, Kindred. Oh, Kindred's so good. If you want a fun kind of whimsical, magical stuff, let's go for Uprooted. And you can also do Piercing the Darkness, but that one's a serious book too. They're dark, but they're good. And then A Monster Calls. If you feel like having a good cry, go for it. And if you want a book that just stands out all on its own, The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. There we go. So I hope that you have enjoyed this video. Let me know what some of your must-read books are in the description. No, not the description box, the comments. The comments. And maybe I will check them out. I thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you right here next time. Have a great day, gorgeous.